Hi friends! Today for Fiction Friday, we're reading the final part of the short story, The Glass Dog, by L. Frank Baum. When last we left our characters, the wizard had a magically animated glass dog as a pet, and Miss Mydas had agreed to marry the Glassblower after he treated her illness with a magical remedy he got from the wizard for creating the glass dog for him in the first place. But that's not where the story ended, with everyone being happy and content, so let's see what happens next. If you want to read along, the link to the ebook is in the description below. The Glass Dog, Part 2. Dear me, Miss Mydas exclaimed. I've an engagement at the Fritter's reception tonight. Bring my pearl-colored silk, Marie, and I will begin my toilet at once. And don't forget to cancel the order for the funeral flowers and your mourning gown. But Miss Mydas, remonstrated the Glassblower, who stood by, you promised to marry me if I cured you. I know, said the young lady, but we must have time to make proper announcement in the papers and have the wedding cards engraved. Call tomorrow and we'll talk it over. The Glassblower had not impressed her favorably as a husband, and she was glad to find an excuse for getting rid of him for a time, and she did not want to miss the Fritter's reception. Yet the man went home filled with joy, for he thought his stratagem had succeeded, and he was about to marry a rich wife who would keep him in luxury forever afterward. The first thing he did on reaching his room was to smash his glass-blowing tools and throw them out of the window. He then sat down to figure out ways of spending his wife's money. The following day, he called upon Miss Mydas, who was reading a novel and eating chocolate creams as happily as if she had never been ill in her life. Where did you get the magic compound that cured me? She asked. From a learned wizard, said he, and then, thinking it would interest her, he told her how he had made the glass dog for the wizard, and how it barked and kept everybody from bothering him. How delightful, she said. I've always wanted a glass dog that could bark. But there is only one in the world, he answered, and it belongs to the wizard. You must buy it for me, said the lady. The wizard cares nothing for money, replied the Glassblower. Then you must steal it for me, she retorted. I can never live happily another day until I have a glass dog that can bark. The Glassblower was much distressed at this, but said he would see what he could do. For a man should always try to please his wife, and Miss Mydas had promised to marry him within a week. On his way home, he purchased a heavy sack, and when he passed the wizard's door and the pink glass dog ran out to bark at him, he threw the sack over the dog, tied the opening with a piece of twine, and carried him away to his own room. The next day he sent the sack by messenger boy to Miss Mydas, with his compliments, and later in the afternoon he called upon her in person, feeling quite sure he would be received with gratitude for stealing the dog she so greatly desired. But when he came to the door and the butler opened it, what was his amazement to see the glass dog rush out and begin barking at him furiously. Call off your dog, he shouted in terror. I can't, sir, answered the butler. My young lady has ordered the glass dog to bark whenever you call here. You'd better look out, sir, he added, for if it bites you, you may have glassophobia. This so frightened the poor Glassblower that he went away hurriedly. But he stopped at a drugstore and put his last dime in the telephone box so he could talk to Miss Mydas without being bitten by the dog. Hello, what is it? Said a voice. I want to speak with Miss Mydas, said the Glassblower. Presently, a sweet voice said, This is Miss Mydas. What is it? Why have you treated me so cruelly and set the glass dog on me? Asked the poor fellow. Well, to tell the truth, said the lady, I don't like your looks. Your cheeks are pale and baggy, your hair is coarse and long, your eyes are small and red, your hands are big and rough, and you are bow-legged. But I can't help my looks, pleaded the Glassblower, and you really promised to marry me. If you were better looking, I'd keep my promise, she returned. But under the circumstances, you are no fit mate for me, and unless you keep away from my mansion, I shall set my glass dog on you. Then she dropped the phone and would have nothing more to say. The miserable Glassblower went home with a heart bursting with disappointment, and began tying a rope to the bedpost by which to hang himself. Someone knocked at the door, and upon opening it, he saw the wizard. I've lost my dog, he announced. Have you indeed? Replied the Glassblower, tying a knot in the rope. Yes, someone has stolen him. That's too bad, declared the Glassblower indifferently. You must make me another, said the wizard, but I cannot. I've thrown away my tools. Then what shall I do? Asked the wizard. I do not know, unless you offer a reward for the dog. But I have no money, said the wizard. Offer some of your compounds, then, suggested the Glassblower, who was making a noose in the rope for his head to go through. The only thing I can spare, replied the wizard thoughtfully, is a beauty powder. What? Cried the Glassblower, throwing down the rope. Have you really such a thing? Yes, indeed. Whoever takes the powder will become the most beautiful person in the world. If you will offer that as a reward, said the Glassblower eagerly, I'll try to find the dog for you, for above everything else I long to be beautiful. But I warn you, the beauty will only be skin deep, said the wizard. That's all right, replied the happy Glassblower. When I lose my skin, I shan't care to remain beautiful. Then tell me where to find my dog, and you shall have the powder, promised the wizard. So the Glassblower went out and pretended to search, and by he returned and said, I've discovered the dog. You will find him in the mansion of Miss Mydas. The wizard went at once to see if this were true, and sure enough, the glass dog ran out and began barking at him. Then the wizard spread out his hands and chanted a magic spell, which sent the dog fast asleep, when he picked him up and carried him to his own room at the top floor of the tenement house. Afterward, he carried the beauty powder to the Glassblower as a reward, and the fellow immediately swallowed it and became the most beautiful man in the world. The next time he called upon Miss Mydas, there was no dog to bark at him, and when the young lady saw him, she fell in love with his beauty at once. If only you were a count or a prince, she sighed, I'd willingly marry you. But I am a prince, he answered, the Prince of Dog Blowers. Ah, said she, then if you are willing to accept an allowance of $4 a week, I'll order the wedding cards engraved. The man hesitated, but when he thought of the rope hanging from his bedpost, he consented to the terms. So they were married, and the bride was very jealous of her husband's beauty and led him a dog's life. So he managed to get into debt and make her miserable in turn. As for the glass dog, the wizard set him barking again by means of his wizardness and put him outside his door. I suppose he is there yet, and am rather sorry, for I should like to consult the wizard about the moral to this story. That's a silly way to end the story, friends. Of course, the moral of the story is to get yourself a good dog and live out a happy life with it. The other two people in this story are most miserable because they don't have a dog. At least that's what I'm getting from the story. How about you? Well, that's all the time we have for today. Be sure to subscribe so you can find out about all the Pupper 5 fun we have here. Thanks for hanging out with me today.